was the quarter for H&M? Take us through what we learnt this morning.
So actual sales were roughly in line with expectations, and there was a beat on gross margin. But the real problem area here is for the quarter was the operating margin, which for the first half of the year is around 8%. And considering that the new chief executive, Daniel Erva, wants it to be 10% for the year, he's going to have to make a lot of improvements. And, they've already closed down some stores. They closed down about 80 stores compared to last year. And he is getting costs under control, but it seems those are at the gross margin level as opposed to his actual overheads. And there was also a bit of weakness in Asia, Oceania and Africa. It was flat in local currencies and actually down in the Swedish krona.
I remember the weather was bad, but I don't remember it being that bad. And I'm wondering why I haven't heard of this from other retailers.
Well, absolutely. And I think the stock is probably down today because he's talking about the current quarter and warning about sales being down 6% in June. Inditex for May, we don't know about their June yet, but it had strong outlook for May. So it does kind of raise questions. And they said, it's getting better towards the end of the month, which is where we're at. And they're also looking at, they're also saying that the conditions, they're sticking to their targets of particularly this 10% operating margin target and also doubling its sales to 2030. They're sticking with that, and those two things are very interlinked because in order to reach the operating margin improvement, you need the sales growth.
You need a lot more sales.
You need a lot more sales, but they are also warning that conditions are a lot tougher. And it's sort of like, well, if conditions are a lot tougher, then what extra do you have to do in order to get there if you're keeping the same targets?
So how does this relate or not relate to the C-suite changes for the company?
Yeah, I mean, the new chief executive has only been here since January. That was quite a surprise for everyone. And he's really trying to prove that the turnaround is working, that his targets are working, that his message today was, despite all of this and despite then, the share price fell, his message was, this is the best quarter we've had for years, and it's working, and the collections, the spring and summer collections, are proving popular. But of course, we don't actually know the latest inventory numbers, and that's a key issue. And if he's guiding that actually there'll be more promotions in the second half of the year and that the environment is getting tougher, you can kind of see why markets are a bit worried. And that's all against the backdrop of trying to compete with internet-only companies like Shein, which, of course, is going to be listing in London and is going to be a source of competition also from the investor side as well as the consumers.